crafty friends, it's Christina. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be playing with the layering stencil by Spellbinders called Make a Wish Confetti, and then also the coordinating die. I'm going to set these aside. We're going to go ahead and get started. I have pulled out a couple of inks. I have Aged Mahogany, Lumberjack, Worn Lipstick, and Dried Marigold in the Distress Oxides. The stencil set comes with 4 stencils plus a mask. I went ahead and sprayed some PIXIE spray on the back of these. If you're not familiar with PIXIE spray, it's a light tack repositionable adhesive for stencils, and it's great for this kind of thing. This also comes with a mask for the number 1 stencil. All of the stencils are numbered down in the lower corner. In the bottom, if you want to, you could take a Sharpie marker and mark them so you can see it a little bit better. I am going to start off with my first stencil. And we are going to go ahead, and the easy way for me is to take my cardstock. So this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's a smaller than the stencil size. You would cut your stencil or your piece of cardstock to match the corners of the stencil so it's easier to line up. But I am just going to take this and line it up in the corner, and then also just make sure we're touching in the same spot on that side. When you use the PIXIE spray, you don't have to worry about taping anything down. I am going to start off with doing my background, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the sentiment again on another piece of cardstock. For this first one, I'm not going to really pay attention to what colors I'm using in what order. I kind of just want to go with it, but when I go to do my sentiment, I am going to, pay more attention to what colors I'm using, but I am using these 4 colors right here. You can go ahead and just, decide it right off the bat and then just keep going with that when you go to do your layers. But for this part, I'm not going to really pay too much attention. I can go ahead and put the mask in here if I want to. I really don't need to waste ink on that center part if I don't need to, because I will be die cutting my sentiment separately. I'm going to start off with my, my Aged Mahogany, and I'm going to ink this up and go ahead and start stenciling in or adding this color. So I probably should have put some PIXIE spray on the back of my mask piece, but that's okay. We'll just make it work. We'll just hold it into place. I'm not going to put too much effort into making sure that middle part's all done, because I won't be using that during this part of my card. So I'm just going to make sure I get all my little confetti dots all filled in. And to keep my fingers from getting all inky, since they're already inky from the previous card I made, I'm just taking a Post-it note to help kind of keep this into place while I finish adding up my color, or adding in my color. I am going to then go ahead and remove my mask, which I don't need anymore, and then also my outside layer. So you can see that kind of have some of the areas that I did get some of that color in, but that is quite all right. I'm going to take my second stencil, and we are going to, again, line this up in the corner, matching the bottom corner, and lining it up on the other side as well. And then we can start with our next color. So I'm going to go in with the Lumberjack. And again, I'm just using this to do my confetti areas. I'm not going to worry about my sentiment because I am going to pop that up with a separate die. Just a little tip, if you hold your Post-it note with the sticky side to your fingers, you don't have to keep peeling that on and off. It'll hold to your fingers rather than to the stencil, and you won't be having to clean it or clear it off, peel it off every time. Okay, there is that layer. And now we're going to come in with layer number 3. Again, flipping it upside down, matching our corners. And then we'll come in with Worn Lipstick for this layer. This is coming out so cute. I really like it. All right, we're going to do our 4th layer. So we're going to line that corner. I know I keep repeating myself, but and for this one, we're going to use the Dried Marigold. pieces all filled in here. There we go. It's starting to come together. I'm going to clean off my stencils and then we'll start putting together our sentiment part. All right, so I went ahead and cleaned my stencils. They're still pretty tacky on the back. So I am going to go ahead and do my sentiment part. Again, taking another piece of cardstock, I'm just lining the corner. That'll help me line everything up when I go to do the next layers. So for this one, this is the base layer. I am going to go with the worn lipstick as the bottom layer. And I am going to fill that in. You don't have to worry about masking anything off. When we go ahead and die cut, you're not going to see any of that. So I'm going to pull in the second mask, which is this one. And I am going to, again, line this up. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of these and get this ready to go. For my second layer, I am going to use the Lumberjack. Our third layer is going to be aged Mahogany. And our last layer is going to be the dried marigold. And this creates this really cool like shadow of the sentiment. So I am just, again, lining this up in the corner. I'm going to flip it over just to make sure we're still doing okay. We are, and I'm going to use the dried marigold for this one. All right, so we can peel this back and then we have that really fun sentiment. All right, so there is the one we're going to be die cutting with the coordinating die, and that will be the pop-up of our sentiment. So we're gonna go ahead and tape that down in the line and run that through our machine. And then we have our background piece. So I wasn't too worried about these being off-centered because I am going to be making this into a square card. So I am using this fluted edge die. I have the 3 largest dies, and I'm going to be die cutting on the 3rd smallest die, and then I'm going to be using the 2 other dies on this beeswax cardstock. So that's going to create a matte layer for our card. So I'm going to go ahead and run these through my die cutting machine and we'll be right back. And before we start putting this together, I want to go ahead and do our card base. I am using a piece of 110-pound cardstock. This is cut at 4 3/4 by 9 1/2, which is a 1/4 inch larger than my square fluted piece that I die cut here. And we're just going to go ahead and score this also at 4 3/4. So that's going to make a square card. So 4 3/4, because I'm using such a heavy cardstock, I'm going to go over this a couple of times. I searched high and low and I cannot find my Teflon bone folder. It's got to be here somewhere, but I'm just going to use the one for my scoreboard. I like when I'm doing 110-pound cardstock, I like to use my Teflon because it's a little bit better for getting this to lay a little flatter. We're going to start building up our card. So I'm going to start with my base layer. I'm going to add some foam adhesive to the back of my beeswax cardstock. And I'm just going to use some foam tape for that. I like the 3M foam tape because you could just tear it with your fingers. It's also not super thick either. And we are going to adhere this to our card base. We're going to do the same thing to this piece right here. We're going to add some foam adhesive to the back of this as well. I added some foam adhesive to the back of my stenciled layer, and we're going to layer that right in the center of our fluted edge here. Super cute. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and add some foam adhesive also to the back of our sentiment, and we'll add that on as well. Going to add that right to my card base. We're kind of covering up that area that I did a little bit of stenciling on. So there we go. And to finalize it, I'm just going to add a couple of these little crystal gems that I have here. I'm not going to put them in any particular way, just kind of add a little shine and shimmer to our card. And there's our card for today. I had a lot of fun playing with the different colors. You can make so many different styles with this. I also made a more masculine colored card using some blues and different shades of blue, and it was a lot of fun. I also added some gems to this, and then used some of the Nouveau stone drops as well. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. A link to the supplies are down below in the YouTube description if you want to check them out, and I will catch you all in the next video. Thanks everybody for watching.